You're welcome to Joy News Interactive with me, Victor Brache. Good morning. You can join us on Joy Facebook page. You can also join us on Twitter at Joy News on TV. And also you can WhatsApp us at 0560-800,000. And let's get interactive today and share our views and comments as we go through what we have for you today on Joy News Interactive. There's a bit about the vindication of social media, how social media was used to share the collated results from the just ended December polls. I remember on Saturday, I had a guest here in studio. His name was Derek Lai, popularly known on Facebook as Pope D. Barnabas IV. We talk about how media platforms, especially with the social media handles, were able to collate results and give people enough data for them to follow up on what was happening at the EC's collation center. There were so much going on our social media pages, especially here, Joy 99.7 FM, and also on Joy News TV, where we gave an up-to-date breakdown of how some of these polling stations had collated results and putting them out. Also, social media came to the rescue again when CNN was forced to retract and correct a story that wrongly portrayed the December polls. Let's see the tweets that started everything. Okay, so there is this particular tweet on your screens, as you can see, and I would love to read what is written on these screens. And it reads, oil reserves were discovered off the coast of Ghana in 2007, but Ghanaians struggle to obtain food and day-to-day services. Rolling blackouts are common and citizens often stand in long line to obtain products. Our very own Gary R. Smith was the first to have started this CNN Get It Right hashtag, and his first comment on Twitter was at CNN, I didn't know Ghanaians, in quotes, stand in long lines to obtain products or struggle to obtain food, and I live there. Hashtag CNN Get It Right. We'll be joining Gary R. Smith on Skype to further ask him how this whole thing started and how he took it up when people started retweeting and tweeting at him with their own hashtag, and also the hashtag CNN Get It Right. And then there's a second one that he tweeted, and I read, at least spell checker on the PC of whoever wrote this should have pointed out the word hash into brackets, or sorry, in quotes that Ghanaians and not Ghanaians. He comes out with the hashtag CNN Get It Right, and then there's a picture below that reads, the national economy will be Akufo-Addo's major challenge. Oil reserves were discovered off the coast of Ghana in 2007, but Ghanaians struggle to obtain food and day-to-day services. Rolling blackouts are common and citizens often stand in long line to obtain products. A lot of people on social media were asking which long lines CNN were making reference to. As I said, you'll be joining Gary R. Smith on Skype to take us through this whole thing. And there's another tweet from Gary, and I read, my Ghana people, shall we do something? Let's at CNN know we are tired of their lazy reportage of our elections. Tweet them with at CNN, hashtag CNN Get It Right. This is the third post Gary put on Twitter. So we're going to Gary to get a very clear view of how this whole thing started on Twitter. So just a bit of what you should understand about this Get It Right, CNN Get It Right thing. So there were a lot of people on social media, especially Kojo Yankson, Gary R. Smith, Amiel Deborah, who were all using the hashtag to tell Ghanaians how they felt about the wrong reportage put out by CNN. As you can see, people didn't really expect a foreign media house to get it wrong with what was happening in our own country. Gary joins us on Skype. Gary, Gary,
Hello.
how are you?
Fine, thank you.
And thank you for joining us on Skype and on JNI. How did
Yeah.
this whole thing started?
Well, good morning first. And yesterday morning, that
Yeah.
Sunday morning, a friend of mine on Facebook tagged me. He actually sent me a screenshot of the article. I hadn't read the article myself personally, but he sent me a screenshot of the article, and he was asking that how is it possible that this he was asking me if the the article was written by the correct CNN, because as you may know, a lot of spoof websites have come these days who write a lot of wrong news. So he just wanted to clarify with me whether it was correct, and I told him that yes, it was CNN. I went to check it, and it was the website itself. So then I just felt a bit annoyed, to be honest, because the thing was, for anybody who followed our coverage of the election of Joy News and the way we were doing the social media analysis, we had been doing some reviews of the international media. Now, I had noticed in the days leading up to the election and during the election itself that CNN in particular had a lot of stories that we can say were very negative towards Ghana. And some of them had to say that you know, and let me find a hashtag to accompany it. So I played around with a couple of the hashtags, and then I just settled on CNN Get It Right. I remember thinking that I probably should use CNN Do Better, CNN this, that, but I settled on CNN Get It Right. And then I have quite a following on Twitter. I have about 165,000 followers. So I issued a rallying call to my followers, and then we said, I just told them that, look, let's just start something and use this hashtag to do it. And well, that was the beginning. Now, at this point, let me say that I was in South Africa yesterday morning when this started. So around 12 o'clock South Africa time, which was 10 o'clock Ghana time, I was boarding the plane back to Ghana. So I did not know what happened in about 4 or 5 or 6 hours. Now, when I landed in Ghana, I was extremely shocked. I saw Lordina Mahama had gone on the trend, and
Yeah.
several other influential people as well. So I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
And it had trended #1 in Ghana and so on and so forth. But apart from the fact that it has gone viral, I was pleased to note that CNN was forced to change the story, not once, but twice, and I think it's good. And it shows that social media still gets results.
But Gary, I'm not cutting you short, but why do you think CNN would have corrected their story twice and not once? What happened? Did they make a mistake with the first apology?
Pardon?
I'm asking, why did CNN correct their stories twice instead of once? Did they make a mistake with the first apology?
Well, you know what? To be honest, CNN did not apologize, and they still have not apologized. All they did was an editor's note, yes, which amended the story. It wasn't even a retraction, Victor. They just amended the story. Now, if you go to the CNN website now and look at that story, even the correction still has mistakes, which, I mean, is surprising. The original story was done by somebody in Atlanta, Georgia, and then there was a contribution from their West African correspondent who is based in Lagos. And I thought that, Al Jazeera, Africa News, Euro News, Reuters, they all send their correspondents here. And so I'm thinking, if you are seeing a big media house with so much influence, and you have a reporter just next door in Nigeria, I mean, you should be able to send the reporter here to get the facts correct. But even the corrected one on the CNN website now still has mistakes, and it's quite disappointing, I must say, Victor.
But Gary, this is not the first time a media house has made mistakes or reported wrongly. Why is it that Ghanaians took up on CNN at this particular time?
Well, I just think that it's time and chance. It just happened that this one was timely, and we saw it quickly, and then we acted upon it quickly. For example, even Al Jazeera themselves had a couple of stories during the elections that were not too complimentary of Ghana. A couple of people had spoken about it on social media, but it didn't get the traction. I also think that this one went viral because of the kinds of people who took it up.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The people who took it up were people with a large following and social media.
I saw Deborah tweeting at you. I saw Kojo Yankson getting involved with this whole thing. I saw about a group of people, a lot of people also getting engaged with you. But one thing that I want to ask, if CNN ever apologizes, then what do you think Ghanaians' next action will be?
Well, I think that Kenya showed us the way in August 2015. If you recall, before Obama was queued to visit the country of his father's birth, Kenya, in July 2015, CNN ran a series of stories. One that got Kenyans very angry was one that said that Kenya was a hotbed of terror. Kenyans took to Twitter with a hashtag called Someone Tell CNN. It trended for days and days.
Okay.
And it forced CNN to send a senior executive all the way to Kenya to come and meet the president of Kenya to apologize for it. Now, it won't do anything if they apologize, but it will just be yet another way that Africans can tell these Western media houses that, look, we don't need you to report our narrative for us. So even if you are bothering to report, you better do it right. So that's all we are asking. We are not saying that Ghana is a country of milk and honey or we are on a bed of roses, but at least report our circumstances correctly. You can't say that we queue for food and there are food shortages in Ghana. We know that the economy is hard. We know that sometimes, people struggle to get 3 square meals a day, but we don't queue for food. I mean, this is not 1983, so yeah, that's just it. The perception is what we are looking at.
Gary, thank you very much for joining us on JNI today. We appreciate your time with us. So that was Gary Al Smith, the main man behind the hashtag CNN Get It Right. So definitely we'll be reading some of the comments about CNN Get It Right so that people can get an idea of what really happened some time ago. We have Blandina Ahreng Dankwa, who says, this is what happens when you keep pointing your father's house with your left hand. And then Danso Isaac says, it's really serious why such reports should be mounted on that big platform. And then we have Osei Redu Ruben, who says, this is how bad the Western media portray Africa to scare investors from investing in Africa countries, especially Ghana. And we have Maxwell Nketia, who says, is that not what Ghanaians want? Sometimes we paint our country as if there is nothing good in it. So why? Then Palanstein comes in to just throw a bit of words around what CNN has done. Salifu One Heart says CNN must apologize. James Tangbul also says that useless Stephanie Luna. No, he talks about how these people are behaving on such a big platform. We're reading a couple of messages on Facebook and on Twitter to bring you a clear picture of how Ghanaians reacted to CNN when they did a false reportage. We'll be also going to our next story about a British nurse, who has been working for 15 years. And she has been sacked for praying for patients waiting for surgery. The hospital she used to work at, Darrent Valley Hospital, is based in Kent in the UK, and she is suing them for unfair dismissal. Bear in mind that newly sworn in Prime Minister Theresa May has advocated for Christians to freely, and I mean freely, express their faith at the workplace. It seems very similar to the storyline from this movie, God is Not Dead 2. Take a look. But before we take a look at this trailer, let's just go back to our comments page. That Sunday thread, and I read, don't waste money to sue the hospital, my dear. They may have another reason for your dismissal, but trust God, soon a more better opportunity will chase you. Amen. And then Kwame Abeku comes in to say she could have encouraged them through talking and letting them be aware that she will pray for them in secret. After all, we don't see God, but here is the case of today's Christians praying so loud and speaking some jargons on top of their voices, disturbing others. Then we have Dabre Gampini, who says Western countries, unlike African countries, don't tolerate such things. They believe in their patience, privacy, and freedom of worship. It is not about its being right or wrong, but they find it unethical per their rules. Then we have Emmanuel Amponsa, who says, Nana Owusu, bro, the NMC have a code of conduct, performance, and ethics. She is well aware of it. It is morally and ethically wrong to pray for a patient without their consent. And then she goes on to say, do not attribute anything to racial discrimination. Rules are to be observed. So these are the comments on Facebook and on Twitter about this particular nurse who has been sacked after 15 years working for a hospital. My name is Victor Brache. It's been an exclusive time with you. Join me some other time, but hold on for Joy News midday. Thank you.